the Project C Saturday shows. I'm also grateful to Kingsley, who is also helping us broadcast this on other platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. So thank you all for being here. I see some regulars with us. I was playing for time so that more people should join us, and that's why I played the music in English and in French. But the more I listen to it, the more I have a stronger conviction in what needs to be accomplished and what we are working towards. The lyrics carry more meaning every day I listen to them. The circumstances in which we find ourselves as a country, it's becoming more obvious why this project, this campaign, this once and for all initiative is incredibly important. And this weekend, we're going to be contextualizing this. There have been rare moments where we celebrate. In most times, we are always lamenting and criticizing everything that is wrong. And last weekend, we had the opportunity to hope when the Indomitable Lionesses completely outmatched the team from Malawi that in their own right had come far enough in the tournament. So we decided to just take a moment and reflect on that and think about what that means if we were celebrating the victory, the breakthrough of our country from all the challenges that it's faced, where we've struggled to keep the lights on every day. How they managed to do it in such difficult circumstances should instill hope in every Cameroonian that if we fix our minds to what we want to accomplish, if we look beyond the obvious challenges and labels that we have placed on ourselves, language, culture, ethnicity, and focus on what is really going to make us win, our beloved country, Cameroon, we can achieve our goals. So that's why we frame this today, and Cameroon Kigain, a Cameroon that wins, a winning Cameroon, and the lessons to be learned from the Lions. Leopold, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Please, I'll pause here for you to welcome our audience, French-speaking audience.
Merci beaucoup, Harry. Merci beaucoup. Et bonjour à tous et bonjour à notre bien aimable audience qui nous fait toujours l'honneur de nous écouter, avec qui nous cheminons. Tu l'as bien dit, Harry, nous avons souhaité marquer un petit temps fort aujourd'hui à l'occasion de la victoire disons, inespérée de nos Lions indomptables au Maroc, cette brillante victoire face au Malawi. Et c'est vrai, nous nous sommes dit, Project C, Project Cameroon, il y a un certain nombre de leçons qu'on pourrait partager avec notre audience. Et ces Lions qui ont brillamment démontré que le problème n'a jamais été celui du potentiel, mais beaucoup plus, et qu'elles ont démontré que nous ne sommes pas condamnés à perdre. Et il faudrait peut-être rappeler que la dernière victoire des Lions indomptables date de 2017 au Gabon, c'était toujours au cours d'une CAN. Là, c'était l'équipe masculine. Donc, 9 ans plus tard, les filles, nos valeureuses Lions, méritaient l'exploit, et donc nous nous sommes dit, OK, disons-en quelque chose parce que c'est assez révélateur de beaucoup de choses. Donc, merci de votre présence.
Merci beaucoup, Leopold. We will talk a little bit more about the Lions and the circumstances, but we contextualize it the mindset in the context of Cameroon. Before we move forward with that, I'm going to, obviously we have this feature which Eric has done so brilliantly every week for over a year now. Is really contextualizing the work of Project C, looking at the week behind us, contextualizing it with our current day programs, but also even projecting into the near future. So I'm going to invite Mr. Eric Chinje now to just bring us up to speed with what's going on in Eric's world.
All right. My world is. My world is in a state of near chaos.
Oh, okay.
In search of itself. My world, of course, is Cameroon, and this week had a particular significance with regard to how we're moving forward. The major items on my list are the return, of course, of the president from Geneva. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a minute, and then the return, of course, and the reception that the Lionesses received. We'll be expanding on that later on in this program. And then I want to throw in a couple of other things. The visit to the United States by Archbishop Cleda from Douala. And I mention it for a very particular reason, which I'll explain in a second. And then the massive outflow of the families of members of government from Cameroon. Is that indicative of where they think the country is going? That's a big question, but it's something we must internalize as we look at, to reflect on what's happening in Cameroon. I'm sure you must be wondering where I am. You can see I'm in the office of my nephew. It's all wired up for all kinds of electronics. So I'm feeling very comfortable here, but I can't carry it with me when I leave here in a few days. I'm in Atlanta. So there was also this report from a ratings agency called Moody's. I don't know if most people know it, but they have a way of telling us where we stand with regard to our economy. And their report on Cameroon came out yesterday. So it will be interesting to just give a quick read, of what Moody's has to say about Cameroon. With regard to the president's return, you almost know, looking to see how, you almost know that you must have seen the images, which are everywhere, and they've been used in various ways by creative folks on social media. Because after over 70 days, well over 70 days abroad, it was announced that the president would be coming. Many of us did not think it would happen, but it did happen. But it's interesting to know what actually took place when the president supposedly returned to Cameroon. There are folks who've called me to say he was not in that car. There are folks who were close to the action who've told me he was not in that car. Now, was that the case? I cannot debate. As we speak, in a few minutes, or maybe within the hour, he's supposed to be coming out to receive the Lionesses, the Indomitable Lionesses. So that will be full proof that the president is back home. And to the naysayers and the doubters, that will either confirm what they think, what they're saying, or dismiss what they're saying. So let's keep our fingers crossed. We have people on the ground watching out to see if the president will come out fully and receive them. There are those who suspect that it might be, again, a hand behind the curtains, stretching out to shake the hands of the young ladies. We don't know for sure, but we will know within the hour. So that's the context within which the president came back to Cameroon. It's deepened the suspicions and the doubts around him, around his state of health, and it has not eased the pressures on the system, governance systems in Cameroon. It has not eased that pressure, especially with regard to folks looking in from the outside. Those investors, those international organizations that we deal with, the potential partners in our development endeavors, they are still very suspicious, not willing to. Maybe shortly, when the president finally comes out and shows the world that he's around and alive and well, as his collaborators have been saying, maybe that will ease. It'll ease a lot of the pressure, but that needs to happen. So we're waiting. And that reception, as I said, will be happening anytime soon. I hope Leopold and others, you're keeping your eyes open. We have people on the ground waiting to see. The win, of course, by the Indomitable Lions, the young ladies in Morocco, was spectacular. A weak or bad or distasteful, unsportsmanly reaction by Malawi is attempting to put a stain on what happened, but we're not willing to go that route. I would let the CAF, the African Football Confederation, deal with it. But a win's a win, 3-0, clean, and the road to that win was just even more spectacular because Cameroon beat Nigeria, which has been for long held that cup, Nigerian women, at least 5 of the last 10 times, and maybe more than that, actually, maybe the last 10 times Nigeria has won, but they beat Cameroon on the road to their victories at least 5 times. That's what I wanted to say. And Leopold can confirm this because we talked about it yesterday. 5 of times, Nigeria eliminated Cameroon. So Cameroon took its ultimate revenge last week. That's why I'm pointing that out. I mentioned the fact that Archbishop Cleda is in Washington. And the reason I do is because he and I were supposed to have debate, I'll call it, a discussion on local television yesterday. But it had to be cancelled because at the last minute, his collaborators, I don't know that Archbishop Cleda said it himself, but his collaborators said there'd be no politics during that discussion. And my question is, and it's a question it's why I say it now, because I want every Catholic listening to help us answer this question. Is religion not embedded in politics if politics is about the survival of citizens? Is religion not embedded in that? How can did the Pope, and I actually had to send a letter I wrote to Bishop Cleda. I had to send it to the producers of the program yesterday to say, please, because the letter I wrote recalled the core messages of the Pope when he came to Cameroon. And of the 12 messages, 10 were politics, about the political situation in the country. So something is not right. And I do not say this, as I said, Bishop Cleader himself did not tell them, tell the producers that it should not be about politics. He did not. But his collaborators did. And it was too late, they couldn't get through to him and had to cancel the program. So we need to address this because it has very serious implications for the country. We had elections that took place in Cameroon, which the Catholic Church observed more than anybody else, more than any other group besides Elekam. They had the results, and all we said was, announce what you have, announce your own results. And those results, because they showed a winner that was not the sitting president, the results from the Catholic Church, they showed a winner who was not the sitting president. They decided not to issue them officially. This is not right, I think. And I would love for the church to come and dismiss everything I've just said with proof. The reason we know that somebody else won the elections based on the church's own observation is because there are always whistleblowers, and a whistleblower within the church issued on the internet, so it's not to me or anybody individually, issued the results that the church reported. We just wanted an official statement that has not come out to this day. That will help bring down the tension in Cameroon and help us move to the next phase, where we invariably would have to sit down and negotiate and talk across the table between brother enemies. That mediation is going to have to take place at some point. That's how we would find stability in Cameroon. And the church still has, the Catholic Church, I precise, because I don't know what the others did, what the Muslim faith did, and so on. That discussion, that dialogue is going to have to take place in Cameroon for us to find stability and peace. And I say this in relation to what Moody's has, the report that came out yesterday, the rating agency, which every nation on earth, including America, they look up to have a fair reading of the state of economies and of the state of nations. So Moody's conclusion, which was in that report yesterday, a very good report, they noted the fact that, Cameroon is in a state of, is going through a very turbulent state in its economic and political development. Pointed to the fact that we have liquidity in Cameroon is tight. So tight liquidity conditions in the country, which means money. Folks in Douala, in Douala and Yaoundé and Kumba, Amanda, you name it, they don't have access to and the banks they may have a lot of liquidity, but the money is not flowing into society. So money is tight. That's that's what I should have said. The country continues to be vulnerable to rising oil prices. When you go, again, I'm saying this sitting here in America, you will know this when you go to fill up your tank. You'd see whether prices have changed or not. And if they haven't, then just say, Erica, had no clue what he was saying. But everyone listening to us in this Zoom or on social media platforms can go find out. So there is, and we're vulnerable, we continue to be vulnerable to the shocks of the international market, oil prices. The war in Iran is not over yet. The war in Ukraine is not over yet. Conditions around the globe lend themselves to continued rise in oil and other prices, because once there's a rise in oil prices, it affects other sectors of society, of the economy. The Moody's also underscored the unbudgeted security spending in Cameroon. Unbudgeted security spending. This, of course, is related to everything else, to the crisis in the northwest and the southwest, the crisis in the northern regions of Cameroon, especially the far north, the instability, the lack of security, insecurity in the eastern province. All of this have allowed, because they're not being resolved the way they should, we continue to have these unbudgeted pressures on spending for security reasons. And then, of course, there's the, again, this is so important, the financially weak state-owned enterprises. Look at all state-owned enterprises. They're not run like businesses should be run. They're all on a losing streak, and therefore they put pressure on systems, because governments have to subsidize. The government only has to subsidize a lot of these state-owned enterprises. There are two ways that you resolve the problem. You appoint people who can lead those enterprises into profit turnaround. You either do that or you privatize them. That's how countries resolve the issues of state-owned enterprises that are badly run, that are not profitable. And that is weighing on the state of affairs in Cameroon as we speak, and bringing down our credit rating, making it more and more difficult for Mr. Mutaze to go out there and have the loans he keeps seeking at unaffordable interest rates, and ultimately pushing down the road, the solution for our economic revival. And again, we should not do this to our children. It's important. So this is the current situation, which takes me now to my last point about children of national leaders leaving or the families and the children of a lot of our leaders leaving the country. I don't have proof of this, so I'm throwing it in here so that those who live in Cameroon can talk to folks at airports, but most of them are leaving. But they're going out to Israel, to France, to the United States. They're planning to have their children leave, their families, apparently, in some cases, children and wives. The case of spouses, female spouses, because in the majority of them, the male who are doing what I'm saying, the male ministers and senior government officials. So that's the situation we are in. It tells us that, and a lot of all of this is rendered complicated by the crisis of the transition, the looming crisis of the transition in leadership in the country. President Mr. Biya has been there for over 4 decades. He's going to leave sometime soon, I think. And we don't know exactly how that transition is going to take place. So all of what I've said, which is concerning enough for anybody who wants to see a better Cameroon, everything I've said is concerning enough, and it's rendered more complicated by the fact that there's total uncertainty with regard to the transition. These are things that can be resolved. As I say, maybe as the Anglophone crisis can be resolved within a week. It can be resolved if there's the political will to do it. I do not think there's a political will to do it. I say this with absolute certainty because I've said it on this program. President Biya asked me what I thought about it. And I told Mr. Famin Dongo to tell Mr. Biya that it's a dialogue. It cannot be resolved militarily. And as long as we are on that trajectory for resolving the Anglophone crisis, we will never get there. It's as simple as that. But the day we decide to do this the way it should be done, go back to the Constitution, talk to citizens, engage with them, this problem could be resolved in a very short time. It's not the case yet. And as I say that, Ayuk Tabe and the Naira 10 were in court yesterday, the military. And there was pressure, you could tell, for those who attended, there was pressure to get these guys out. That could be the start of the search of a solution to the problem. It can be resolved and resolved quickly. But they went back. The case, there was it was the only case that was looked at, was examined at the military court yesterday, because there were others like, all of the fellows who've been accused of participating in the assassination of Martinez Zogo. If you don't know that name, then you've not been following what's going on in Cameroon for the last 3 years. Belinga in court yesterday, Belinga Mugu and the people around him. But their cases were not listened to, they were postponed. And the court focused on the Anglophone leaders. Ayuk Tabe and the Naira 10. But even they too, there was no conclusion to that. As I said, let's resolve these crises. They can be resolved quickly and ease the tensions in the country and allow our economy to pick up again. Things can be done and should be done. I want to stop there. Sorry for taking up so much time, but because I know Léopold, je te prie de traduire en français ce que je viens de dire.
On voit toujours, merci Eric, on voit toujours la forte sympathie que tu as pour moi en me donnant autant de travail. Non. Non, en fait, ce que tu as dit vraiment, c'est l'actualité, vraiment, c'est l'actualité brûlante, ce sont les événements de l'heure. Ah, il y a un bruit de fond. Ah oui, d'accord, merci Eric. Cette semaine, l'information majeure, c'était essentiellement le retour du président Biya, arrivé jeudi. Et un autre événement que tu as souligné, c'était la sortie massive, la sortie massive des membres de famille de quelques membres du gouvernement. Puis, il y a aussi le rapport sur le Cameroun qui est sorti hier de l'agence Moody. Donc, parlant du retour du président, après plus de 70 jours, 74 d'après certains pointeurs, le président est rentré au Cameroun jeudi, mais tout le monde peut voir à travers les réseaux sociaux la polémique qu'il y a sur le reportage de la télévision nationale qui a été fait sur son retour, qui laisse en fait planer beaucoup d'autres questions. Nous l'avons lu, juste un commentaire dessus, que la CRTV aurait déployé près de 200 personnes pour cela, mais apparemment, le reportage n'était pas en direct comme on dit. Et ça, des gens estiment qu'il n'était pas, se demande si vraiment le président était dans ce véhicule, puisque tout le monde a vu l'image de la main, l'image d'une main à travers la vitre. Et on pense bien que la meilleure preuve pourrait être aujourd'hui, puisqu'il y a une réception de l'équipe nationale féminine de football qui est prévue aujourd'hui, cet après-midi, au palais de l'Unité. Donc, ce serait la meilleure preuve. Et cela n'empêche pas que des gens se posent toujours des questions sur l'état de santé réel du président. Il y a donc aussi à travers, suite à ça, il y a beaucoup d'interrogations de la part de nos partenaires au développement qui se posent sérieusement des questions quant à la suite à donner dans notre collaboration. Et tu as parlé de la victoire des Lions indomptables du football, leur parcours exceptionnel, puisque c'est une équipe qui a été repêchée, puisque à l'issue des qualificatifs initiaux, à l'issue du tournoi qualificatif initial, le Cameroun n'était pas sélectionné. Puis la CAF a donc décidé d'augmenter le nombre d'équipes pour le tournoi. Et le Cameroun fait donc partie des pays qui ont été repêchés. Et les Lions, dans leur parcours, ont dû briser le signe indien, comme on dit communément, en battant enfin le Nigeria, puisque les Lions ont été à 5 reprises à ce niveau du tournoi et n'ont pas pu gagner. Et comme si ça ne suffisait pas, après ce quart de finale, les Lions sont tombés sur le pays organisateur, le Maroc, et ont pu, grâce à leur mental, franchir cet obstacle-là pour brillamment éliminer le Malawi en finale par un score sans appel de 3-0. Et donc, voilà un peu le phénomène notoire là-dessus, c'était la revanche que les Lions ont eue face au Nigeria, qui, il faut le rappeler, a été 10 fois détentrice du trophée. Puis, Eric a aussi souligné le fait que Monseigneur Cléda se trouve en ce moment à Washington. Et il était supposé avoir participé à une émission avec lui hier. Et à la dernière minute, l'émission a dû être annulée parce que les conseillers de Monseigneur Cléda ont dit « Ah non, il ne doit pas parler de politique ». Et la question tout à fait fondamentale, la question vraiment à juste titre que Eric se pose, c'est pourquoi maintenant? Pourquoi? Et il a dû transmettre une lettre qu'il a faite, et une lettre dans laquelle il rappelait les différents messages du pape lors de son passage ici au Cameroun tout récemment, au mois d'avril. 10 messages sur 12 étaient éminemment politiques. Et ça, c'était le pape. Alors, pourquoi est-ce que cela pose un problème maintenant si l'Église catholique devait s'impliquer dans des problèmes politiques, compte tenu de la situation actuelle au Cameroun? Et à titre d'exemple, les résultats des élections de l'année dernière, le 12 octobre, l'Église catholique, il y a un problème, il y a un souci?
Non, c'est peut-être Yaoundé qui veut intervenir.
Non, mais pourtant, il y a un événement majeur qui aura lieu dans un quart d'heure au Palais de l'Unité. Donc,
on dit que les Lions viennent d'arriver à Étoudi, donc elles sont là. On attend maintenant le retour.
Voilà, je crois que les Lions... Mais juste un petit commentaire, ce sera embêtant d'attendre ça des Lions parce que les téléphones cellulaires ne sont pas autorisés là-bas, donc pas de selfie. Non, non, non. Bref, tu as aussi posé la question simple, est-ce que la situation du Cameroun nécessite absolument un dialogue et donc une médiation. Et normalement, l'Église catholique devrait faire partie de ce processus-là. Alors, comment est-ce que l'Église, tu as pris le cas de l'Église catholique, ne sachant pas quelle est la position des autres mouvements religieux, les musulmans, les protestants et autres, normalement, comme cela se passe dans certains autres pays, l'Église devrait être vraiment au centre de ce genre de dialogue, de médiation. Si on prend par exemple le cas du Congo, la RDC et autres, l'Église est très présente. Puis, revenons sur le rapport de Moody sur le Cameroun. Ce rapport souligne la difficulté, la rareté des liquidités au Cameroun. Donc, ce problème financier est très, très palpable et on peut le voir au niveau de la flambée des prix. Et il est vrai que c'est un phénomène mondial dû à la crise dont on parle, le pétrole et autres, les prix qui grimpent, mais au niveau du Cameroun, c'est particulièrement accentué. Et le rapport souligne aussi des dépenses sécuritaires non budgétisées. Donc, cela laisse comprendre beaucoup d'improvisation et nous connaissons, beaucoup de choses se font beaucoup plus pour des intérêts personnels. Puis, ce qui pourrait peut-être, la raison qui est souvent avancée, c'est l'insécurité dans le nord-ouest, sud-ouest, dans le nord et maintenant de plus en plus à l'est. Et le rapport note aussi la faiblesse financière des entreprises d'État. On se rappelle aussi que la Chambre des comptes l'a relevé et a cité nommément quelques entreprises d'État comme ça, en fait, qui sont tenues par des subventions de l'État, qui ne sont pas justifiées parce que la notion de profit doit pouvoir être mise en avant dans ces entreprises-là. Il faudrait que les entreprises apprennent à faire du profit. Et la conséquence, c'est que le ministre des Finances, aujourd'hui, est obligé de solliciter des emprunts à des taux très élevés, comme disent les financiers, des taux usuraires, ce qui est inacceptable quand on voit les taux plus intéressants que des pays semblables arrivent à obtenir sur la scène internationale. Donc, tu as aussi souligné vraiment, même si on n'en a pas de preuves concrètes là, mais on en parle de plus en plus. Et évidemment, on a aussi des compatriotes à l'extérieur qui les voient, la sortie des membres de famille, des membres de gouvernement, enfants, femmes, qui vont à l'étranger dans des pays où les visas ne sont pas très ne sont pas aussi restrictifs que dans des pays européens. Ils se retrouvent en Israël, ils se retrouvent à Dubaï et ainsi de suite. Et la crise actuelle au Cameroun souligne vraiment, ainsi que cette sortie des membres du gouvernement, les difficultés dues à la transition au Cameroun, parce qu'il faut absolument gérer cette étape, cette phase de transition. Et c'est aussi lié à cette sortie massive des membres du gouvernement, c'est qu'il y a une perte de confiance. Donc, ils préfèrent sécuriser les leurs à l'extérieur après avoir sécurisé leurs biens, n'est-ce pas? Donc, Eric a aussi rappelé vraiment avec insistance que la crise au Cameroun, notamment la crise anglophone, peut être résolue en une semaine. Mais cela suppose que l'on ait vraiment la volonté politique pour le faire. Et la dernière fois qu'il a été consulté à ce sujet, il a dit au ministre Famundongo de dire au chef de l'État que seul le dialogue peut résoudre cette crise-là. Et il a enfin rappelé que hier, au tribunal militaire, Ayoub Tabé et puis les Nératen étaient là-bas et que leur libération serait un très bon point de départ pour la résolution de cette crise. Et hier, au tribunal militaire, c'était une fois de plus une audience suite au procès de Martinez Zogo, qui a encore été renvoyé, comme c'est souvent le cas. Mais je termine un peu ce petit commentaire-là, Eric, après ton article sur la crise anglophone, c'est est-ce que, sincèrement, ceux qui sont à l'origine de cette crise-là peuvent manifester cette volonté politique de la résoudre? C'est la question que l'on devrait se poser, parce que je rappelle toujours Einstein, si vous comptez sur ceux qui ont créé un problème pour le résoudre, alors que vous avez deux problèmes. Voilà, merci.
Merci infiniment, Léopold. Vraiment, tu as mieux même. Enfin, moi, je dois maintenant traduire tout ce que tu as dit, mais I will not do it. I just want to point everyone to the note from Marilyn on politics and the church. It's important. She has it in chat, so go take a look. Merci. Thanks. Allez.
Thank you, Leopold, for that for bringing up to speed with the translation. Thanks, Eric, for taking us around your world, our world, Cameroon, and this feature that is always very captivating and interesting with all of the intrigues that are happening in our country, Cameroon. Let me just use a moment to ask once more anyone who is joining us for the first time who has not taken the survey. We continue. We are running a once and for all campaign for a new Cameroon. We believe that a new Cameroon is possible, and in the last 2 months, maybe 3 months, our focus has really been on that new Cameroon. With all the challenges that we face as a country, with all the obstacles that we see every day, we believe that the only way out of the current impasse that we have as a country is through a form of dialogue, that we must put the interest of the country ahead of every other interest. And in that context, we started out with this campaign called Once and for All. We put out surveys in English and French, and we've had over 1,000 participations in those surveys, and people continue to take the surveys. Everything coming out of the survey is leading us to the very place that we knew at the beginning that we should be, a dialogue. And we know, and we are willing, and we think we're able as well to help this country get to that dialogue. And we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to ensure that that happens. But the surveys is just one piece of it. The next phase, it's going to be moving us an inch closer to the dialogue, is really partnering with the media across the country to begin the conversation around the kind of Cameroon that we want. That kind of Cameroon that we want is going to be done through public debates, televised debates. We're going to hopefully work together with you, our audience, to produce debates that will settle once and for all some of the outstanding questions of our country. What is our origin and where do we want to go in the future? Address the question of what kind of country we want, because too often people talk about the form of state, but the form of state is defined by the kind of nation that we want. And that question of the kind of nation is incredibly important to be resolved. Is it a nation where there is justice, there is equity, where everybody is a shareholder of the country, where prosperity is not an option. It is what everybody aims and strives for, where equality is not questionable, justice is assured, where healthcare is guaranteed and education is a right. Is that the kind of country that we want? We have to define those, and then we can say what structure is going to guarantee this kind of country. That becomes the form of state. And subsequently, we have to discuss what is my role, what is your role, what is everyone's role in ensuring that we maintain that kind of country, respect that form of state. It becomes our responsibility. This is the process that we believe our country needs, and this is the process that we at Project C are working towards. And maybe I will pause here because I've been seeing Leopold making notes. But Leopold, if you want to emphasize this process as well in French, it may be really helpful for our audience. I just want to also highlight that the audience of people who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook is significantly growing. I just checked, and we have nearly 200 people that were watching Eric as you were talking, and I was looking at the numbers on X and all of that. So that number continues to grow, and I want to thank all Cameroonians that are joining us on those various platforms for being with us every Saturday.
Tout à fait, Ray. Nous ne cesserons jamais de dire merci à notre audience qui, par leur nombre de plus en plus croissant, prouve vraiment l'intérêt qu'ils ont pour leur pays. Et tu l'as dit, le sondage qui a commencé au mois de juin continue jusqu'à la fin de ce mois d'août. Et nous vous invitons, pour ceux qui ne l'ont pas encore pris, de pouvoir faire ce sondage-là. Il est vraiment anonyme. Il vous prend 3-4 minutes et vous permet de vraiment prendre part à ce processus, parce que le sondage n'est que la première étape. Parce que l'étape suivante, ce sera vraiment poser les bases de ce dialogue. Et puis, beaucoup de gens s'interrogent, et c'est pour ça que tu me voyais prendre des notes, s'interrogent sur la forme de l'État. Mais en fait, la forme de l'État, ça vient après, parce qu'il faudrait d'abord que les Camerounais s'accordent sur le type de nation que l'on veut. Et là, dans plusieurs de nos émissions précédentes, nous avons rappelé le fait que la nation doit venir avant l'État. Ce n'est pas le cas en ce moment, puisque nous vivons un étatisme dont tout le monde se plaint. Donc, la nation qui doit venir avant l'État. Et cela suppose qu'on sera entendu sur la notion de justice, l'équité, l'égalité des chances et les rôles que les uns et les autres devraient jouer pour pouvoir maintenir cette stabilité au sein de l'État. Ce qui rejoint ce que nous avons évoqué les fois précédentes, pour avoir la nécessité peut-être d'avoir un code du citoyen pour pouvoir vraiment codifier les rôles et les attentes, les rôles, les responsabilités et les devoirs des uns et des autres de façon claire, parce que tout ne peut pas se retrouver. Cela devra accompagner la nouvelle constitution dont nous rêvons. Donc voilà en fait ce que nous souhaitons pour ce nouveau Cameroun, dont une fois de plus, les Lions nous ont montré, nous ont rappelé les principes à partir de cette victoire-là, parce que nous voulons vraiment rappeler aux Camerounais que ce nouveau Cameroun-là, il sera. Ce n'est pas une question de potentiel. De toutes les façons, le potentiel est là. Les Lions ne sont pas allés apprendre à jouer au football au Maroc. Elles avaient déjà ce potentiel. Donc, notre problème, c'est peut-être de voir comment transformer ce potentiel-là en performance collective durable, parce que Je l'ai rappelé tout à l'heure, il y a 9 ans, les Lions version masculine l'avaient fait au Gabon. Personne ne les attendait. Ils sont revenus avec le trophée. Mais 9 ans plus tard, entre-temps, comment est-ce que nous avons géré cela? Donc, nous ne souhaitons pas retomber dans le même travers avec cette victoire des Lions. Voilà.
Oui, parlons un peu de Lyon, parce que on a beaucoup perdu en tant que Camerounais dans les 9 dernières années. Parlons un peu des leçons à tirer de cette victoire de Lyon.
Ben, disons que c'est des messages vraiment simples. Par exemple, quand les Lions ont gagné, une manière de nous parler, c'était de dire que, OK, voilà, on ne nous attendait pas. Nous sommes arrivés, nous l'avons fait. Comment on l'a fait? Et puis, ce n'était pas tellement une question de moyens, puisque nous avons vu le Premier ministre, la veille de la finale, aller là-bas leur apporter un sac d'argent. Donc, elles ont joué, ça veut dire qu'elles ont joué sans cet argent-là, même si c'était des promesses. Et puis, elles nous ont démontré qu'en se mettant ensemble, en ayant un objectif commun, en respectant les règles, nous pouvons le faire. Nous l'avons fait à l'extérieur. Vous, au pays, on attend votre tour. Donc, en fait, voilà un peu le message qu'elle nous adresse. Et je dis oui, nous allons le faire de toutes les façons, puisque c'est nous les Camerounais. Nous savons, tu l'as bien dit dans l'introduction, le mindset des Camerounais, les Lions ont un tout petit peu ouvert une fenêtre pour dire que si nous avons pu faire ça en un mois, alors vous, Project C, les autres organisations, les autres think tanks, vous avez du temps. Montrez-nous que nous pouvons faire mieux. Nous ne sommes pas condamnés à la défaite. Nous pouvons gagner. Donc, vraiment, la campagne, une bonne fois pour toutes, once and for all, cette campagne-là devrait nous amener vers ces Camerounais fiers, parce que nous avons vu, quelles que soient les obédiences, quand les Lions ont gagné, tous les Camerounais de l'intérieur, de l'extérieur ont vibré. C'est ça que nous voulons entretenir. Je ne dis pas allumer, mais entretenir, puisque c'est en nous, c'est le potentiel. Nous voulons justement le transformer en performance. Donc voilà, en fait, un peu rapidement rappeler le message que la victoire des Lions nous apporte. Ça dit que c'est au-delà du sport. C'est au-delà du sport. C'est vraiment, tu l'as dit, c'est le mindset.
Yeah. Well, Leopold, that's a very, very interesting perspective that we must really address. Because the way I look at soccer, yes, it's 11 players, maybe a team of 22 players. And each one of them wears a jersey in the colors of our country, representing Cameroon. And yes, the spotlight is on the team. The lights are on, the play in difficult circumstances, the win and the celebrate. Too often we don't think about each one of us as representing the country Cameroon. The title Indomitable Lions may be given to a team, but the spirit of Indomitable Lions is given to a country. And each one of us is supposed to be an indomitable lion, right? We should be wearing that Cameroon jersey every day. And maybe we don't have the spotlight on us. We're not playing in a stadium of 80,000 people, but we have a spectatorship. We have an audience of 30 million people who are counting on how we conduct ourselves to be the victory or the loss of the country. We do not see how significant each one of us is for the victory of our country. And yes, we we are obliged to point fingers at others. We are obliged to hold others accountable, especially people who claim to have the mandate of the people. But in that process, we must hold ourselves accountable, right? We Cameroonians must hold ourselves accountable. And I say to people when I talk about Project C in gatherings, and people say, but how are you going to make it happen? And here we can say, you can look at the Indomitable Lions and say, they could have said that it's impossible for us to win this. No prime de matches, only promises, the chaos behind the scenes, the unlikely challenges facing Nigeria, the host country, Morocco, and being able to win. When victory comes, everybody stands up in support of the team. But I can tell you on their path to it, there were naysayers. There were people who doubted their potential. There were people who thought they wouldn't make it past the first round. There was not an investment in the team as would have been needed. But in adversity, they came out stronger. And I see the same, I can draw the same analogy with what we're trying to do here at Project C. Everybody knows what the solution is, but we all are spectators in our own destiny when we must become actors in the destiny, in our common destiny. And that's what we're trying to do of people. It is not for any loss that we are showing up here every Saturday as if we do not have other things doing. It is because if we must win, we must be persistent in what we are trying to accomplish. Even when it looks most unlikely, even when only 5 people show up, we must continue to be persistent because we know, we believe, and everybody knows what is needed and what is possible. And exemplary. Yeah. So this to me is how we look at the analogy of the Indomitable Lions, and we look at what we're trying to accomplish for our country. It is symbolic yet so meaningful and should inspire us to think differently.
S'il te plaît, permets-moi juste dans ce que je viens de dire là. Le fait d'être exemplaire, nous le disons tout le temps, chaque fois dans cette émission, suppose beaucoup d'humilité. Et je prends juste l'exemple de la gardienne de but des Lions indomptables pour dire que le mental et le fait de faire sa part pendant le match contre le Maroc en demi-finale, au cours du match, on a accordé un pénalty au Maroc. La gardienne a attrapé ce pénalty, ce qui nous a permis donc d'aller aux prolongations. Et c'était toujours 0-0. Et on est passé à la phase des tirs au but. La gardienne en a arrêté 3. Gardienne de but. Donc, pour dire que le mental d'une des joueuses d'équipe reflète sur l'ensemble du groupe et c'est important, donc, ce que tu disais là tout à l'heure. Je t'en prie, c'était juste une parenthèse.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, Eric, if you want to come in and draw some inferences from this victory, but for me, I really insist, and I say this not only to those who are on the Zoom, but to everybody across the country that is listening to us. Nobody else will do this for us.
Exactly.
We may complain about everything that is wrong, and yes, everything is wrong, and I know it, you know it, we all know it. Even the president knows it. The ministers know it. All the leaders, I've spoken to a few of them. They know something needs to be done. But it's not them who will do it.
Yeah,
it is
absolutely,
you.
Eric.
It's
no,
me.
you're totally,
it's us.
Yes,
Right.
Totally right about that. I'm just keeping my eyes on what's happening in Yaoundé to see whether those whether Mr. Biya has come out. There's no indication yet that he has, and Leopold, you're there on the ground. You should also keep an eye on this. It's very interesting because if the president comes out, if he comes out, as we've said, it changes the dynamic. It tells us we have a leader in place. It tells us he's well or not well, we'll see. It tells us, the rest of the international community, that Cameroon is being led. Because at the point at which we are, there's no sense of, leadership. And there's no way those young women could have won without being led, without a captain who was determined to bring that cup home, without a goalkeeper who said, I will build a wall and stop all the balls that attempt to come in through my goal. So there's a crying need. We're not saying this to challenge anybody. There's a crying need for Cameroon to be led, for people to see that leadership is in place. For over 2 months, there was the impression that nobody was in charge. No country in Africa, in the world, can survive for long without, in this sense of, what they say in French, navigation à vue. No country can survive that. So it's in the interest of everybody that as those young women are at the palace, they've arrived, they're now having a few drinks.
Non, elles sont assises, bien habillées.
Oui, mais voilà. So it's important that the president comes out. The victory was important. The coming out of Mr. Biya is just as important. Donc, on attend impatiemment la sortie du président de la République, qui est aussi important que la victoire de ces jeunes femmes.
And I wanted, this is incredibly important that we happen to be competing with the Lions showing up at Unity Palace, and we have people here with us. We happen to be competing with the opening day of the English Premier League, and I know that it has been challenging for some people to be here, but this is the commitment that is needed from our people for us to be able to achieve the goals that we have set out for ourselves. And let me just use this moment as well to encourage anyone that has not visited the Project Cameroon website to also do so. We need your support for that next phase of what we are trying to accomplish, which is the beginning of this public debate that we're going to be co-producing with the media, in traditional media in Cameroon. That is going to take resources, and we will count on the support of fellow Cameroonians to ensure that we have the resources to put together what we think is going to be transformational for our country. If there's been a moment of hope, if there's been a time when you dreamed of a transition, this may probably be the moment where you play a part in it. So I'm encouraging you to drop your widow's mite in support of Project C for us to be able to accomplish the big goals that we have, bringing people together to really debate the future of the country based on the surveys that we have collected. And thereafter that, really get together towards drafting that constitution that we will offer as to our country. And we hope that our country will have the wisdom to embrace the work and outcome that we're going to have with all of this. At this point, I see Vivian, named Vivian, has her hand up, and I'm going to give Vivian the floor.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. my brother Array. Thank you to everyone. And thanks for your resilience and persistence and determination to keep this going. Thank you, Eric, for always sharing this info with me. I wanted to follow up. I'm at a funeral, but I wanted to follow up right quick on what Eric just said. For me, and I'm speaking for me, the head of state coming out and showing Cameroonians that he's alive, for me, it's it's a no, like uppercase, no, because leadership is not only when you show up, when your girls win. Leadership is when you show up when Cameroon loses. Leadership is when you show up when Cameroon is in pain. Leadership is when you show up in every single circumstance. And so we Cameroonians have subjugated ourselves to pleading and begging for leadership. This is not how it works. This is not how it works. When things are not going at 94 years old, what are we expecting? What do we expect? We've been begging for our own leader to come back home and take his place. This is the reason why Cameroon is where it is. Because we've been literally making these people feel like they're doing us a favor. They're helping us ruin Cameroon. They're helping us, completely destroy a beautiful nation that was left for this man. We are begging for our own leader to show up, to come out, a 94-year-old. And what if he doesn't come out? For me, I've lost it. I've lost it. Cameroonians should stop begging and do something. Yes, do something, because Mr. Biya has not been leading Cameroon. We all know it. Y'all know it. I know it. The world knows it. What are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? Cameroonians need to rise up. I keep saying this to stop the nonsense. Please, please. And I speak for me.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
I yield.
Vivian. Yeah, thank you so much, Vivian. And I think, your sense of frustration is not only palpable, but very understandable. And I'm sure you speak for 30 million Cameroonians, maybe, at least for a good portion, a good number of our fellow citizens. But, the point we were making was very specific with regard to the president's current state. He's been sick. We're not told that he was sick. As a matter of fact, members of this government kept saying he was not. So is he well? Or were the rumors right that he's sick? So we just want to answer those basic questions. Mr. President, are you still there? Are you well? Are you alive? Are you in a position to lead? Because that will take us to the next important issue. Is there a vacancy? Is there an absence? Is that absence? Can we validate it? And if there is, a decision has to be made. So we're talking about one little action that could dispel the more fundamental issue of what they call vacance du pouvoir, the absence of leadership in Cameroon. That's where we're going with this. But we have to be methodical about it. We have to go take it a step at a time. So your question, your concerns are legitimate. They're very good. They reflect in many ways what a lot of people think or say. But let's take it a step at a time. The president has been away. We know he was not well, but they say he was well. We know he came back. Many of us think he was not well. He's still not well, but they say he was because we only saw his hand. The next thing is, if he comes out looking strong and fit, then that takes care of that concern. And then we can now go to the next phase. Is the country being led? But we'll get to that. Oh, but thanks for your intervention and for the points of view you expressed, because again, these frustrations reflect the frustrations of many in the country. Aaron.
All right, thank you. I just want to make sure. How is my sound? Is this sound okay?
It's good. Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, all right. Somebody said it wasn't clear, so I wanted to make sure. And let me thank you, Vivian, for also expressing yourself in the context of the President of the Republic of Cameroon. Yeah, Eric, you rightfully said it's whilst we may disagree with the status quo from an economic, from an international, from a diplomatic perspective, every country needs to be led, no matter who leads it. And that may be the reason why we have that conversation, which is a sidebar conversation as far as I am concerned. And to everyone that's here at Project C, we must never lose sight of the fact that our entire purpose is taking our destiny into our own hands. So yes, you may be right that we're not waiting, we're not begging for leadership. In fact, in the song that we played at the beginning of this show, it clearly says, we will no longer wait for permission to determine our own destiny. And that's what we're trying to do here, is taking our destiny into our own hands. And we ask of you to join us in walking down that path, in taking our destiny, in figuring out what we can do. When I was in secondary school, we had this prayer that we were taught of. I went to a Catholic school, which was, Lord, help me to change the things that I can, to understand the things that to know the things that I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change. Exactly. We are focusing on what we can do, what we understand is within our possibility of doing, which means that it's a contribution of our ideas. It's bringing Cameroonians together, irrespective of where we stand politically, irrespective of the views that we may have. There is one thing that is common. We share a common destiny. We are all Cameroonians, and we want to see our country flourish. That's what we can change. That's what we can bring people to. We can awaken the consciousness of people. There are other things that we may not be able to change, and we understand that. But if we go down the path of what we can do, nothing can stop 30 million Cameroonians who want to see change. And change is coming, but it's the little drops of water that make the force of the mighty ocean. And maybe what we do here today is just one drop, but every drop is what would accumulate to the change that we want for our country, Cameroon. And like I said, it wouldn't take rocket science. It just takes a little commitment from each one of us. And if we can team up, if we can work together, we can actually bring the change that is needed for our country. And I'm at this point, I'm going to be asking if there are any other comments with reference to the Lions and the victory and the lessons and all of that we need to.
Ou peut-être si tu as des éléments, on a des éléments peut-être à leur proposer.
Justement, if you would like to introduce.
Ça peut peut-être stimuler des questions.
Justement. Justement. So let's just, should we go first in English or in French?
The victory is the same.
The victory is the same. Let's see. Okay, so we have put together something that we're doing. We're leveraging technology, and we try to took the lessons, wrote them out, and then leveraged AI to just give us an analysis. And we'll draw an analogy from everything that's going to be said, and let's watch this. And I hope that you will all be inspired by what comes out of this conversation. So I will share this whilst we watch.
Picture the tension in the stadium. You can literally feel it, right? It's August 16th, 2026, and the Indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have just pulled off something absolutely spectacular. But what if I told you that this incredible football victory holds the ultimate blueprint for national transformation? Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a fascinating source document that makes a brilliant argument. A sports victory isn't just about sports. It's actually a profound lesson in governance. We're going to explore exactly what we can learn from the Indomitable Lionesses and how the exact same mindset and discipline that wins international championships can literally be used to build a completely new paradigm for a whole nation. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's dive into this because the source material kicks things off with a really pointed rhetorical question that just completely shifts our perspective. It asks, if Cameroonian women can achieve this level of greatness on foreign soil, why couldn't Cameroon succeed in its own country? Think about it. When these players go abroad, operating under really strict international rules, their talent just explodes and they completely dominate. But back home, surrounded by all these economic, social, and institutional crises, that same level of systemic success kind of feels out of reach. So is the problem a lack of inherent talent? No way. Or is the fundamental issue the environment they're placed in? Section 1. Comment 11 joueuses transforment une nation? How 11 players transform a nation. Let's look at the timeline. To really understand this transformation, we have to talk about the extraordinary circumstances these women faced. I mean, they didn't just glide easily into this tournament, not at all. They were actually brought back in after some severe struggles almost completely compromised their qualification. They were the ultimate underdogs, playing far, far away from home. And yet, they dominated. They did it through sheer teamwork, absolute resilience, and just a strict adherence to the rules of the game. Look at this timeline of merit. In the quarterfinals, they eliminate Nigeria, an absolute historic giant of African women's football. Then in the semifinals, they face the host nation Morocco in this crazy high-stakes penalty shootout. And finally, on August 16th, 2026, they don't just scrape by, right? They win the final convincingly, 3-0. This wasn't luck, folks. This was a masterclass in execution. And speaking of that semifinal match against Morocco, I want to highlight this specific number, 4. The Cameroonian goalkeeper saved 4 penalties against the host nation. Just imagine the environment for a second. The entire stadium was completely against them. The noise, the pressure, it had to be unimaginable. But the source document draws a really powerful parallel here. It points out that when the pressure increases, some people instinctively look for excuses. But champions look for solutions. That character under pressure, that exact ability to perform when absolutely everything is on the line, that is exactly the governance lesson a nation needs from its citizens and its leaders. Section 2. Pourquoi le mérite change tout? Why merit changes everything and why talent needs a system. And this brilliantly illustrates the central thesis here. Cameroonians are absolutely not lacking talent. The talent was there long before the success in Morocco. What they're lacking is a system that actively organizes that talent around high performance. You see, the Lionesses succeeded because they submitted to a high-performing system. The rules of that international tournament, non-negotiable. They couldn't just change a rule because they didn't like it on a Tuesday, you know? Now contrast this with an old system, one characterized by negotiable rules, egos running the show, unearned privilege, and just complete opacity. In a high-performing environment, you have stable rules, the collective completely supersedes the individual, and performance is entirely measurable. The text makes a really compelling argument. If we can respect non-negotiable rules on a football pitch, we urgently need public institution reform so we can respect the rules we establish in our own country. Now, to make that monumental leap from the old system to the new, you need what the authors call the champion's mindset. Think about it. The Lionesses had plenty of built-in excuses to fail, right? Qualification hurdles, hostile crowds, past defeats, but they explicitly viewed an obstacle not as a justification for giving up, but as an additional reason to push further. They literally turned their adversity into fuel. They took complete ownership of their destiny. And that exact mindset shift is what the text argues is urgently required for national transformation, because ultimately it's responsible citizens that build a country. Section 3, Les 7 piliers de réforme nationale, the 7 pillars of national reform. So the crucial point is, how do we actually scale this success from a sports team to macro level governance? Well, let's walk through these 7 pillars of national performance that bridge the gap between a winning football team and a successful functioning state. Think of these as the 7 piliers du nouveau Cameroon. Number 1, rules apply to everyone. This means stable institutions and an independent judiciary. 2, adversity fuels action. 3, the collective supersedes ego. The public interest absolutely has to outweigh personal power. 4, failures become lessons. A nation has to learn from its unfulfilled promises instead of just endlessly repeating them. 5, pressure reveals character. 6, merit is strictly measurable. The results have to speak for themselves. And finally, 7, roles are based on competence, not privilege. Just like you'd only choose a striker based on their actual ability to score goals, public leaders must be chosen for their proven ability to deliver results. Section 4, le mindset du citoyen camerounais, the cultural transformation. But here's the thing. You can't just mandate these 7 pillars from the top down and expect some overnight miracle. This explainer highlights that a profound cultural transformation is deeply, deeply required. It's the difference between just casually saying, my country's the best simply because you happen to be born there, versus making this active, intentional declaration. I am Cameroonian and I want to help make my country better. That is the mindset of the responsible citizen. It means you're genuinely proud when a local researcher makes a discovery, when an entrepreneur creates jobs, or when a fellow citizen respects the law, even when they could easily get away with breaking it. It completely transforms national pride from a passive, warm, fuzzy feeling into an active, everyday duty. Section 5, comment transform fatalism on action. How to transform fatalism into action. To actually achieve this active daily duty, there has to be a massive paradigm shift in our daily language, our expectations, and our fundamental approach to problem solving. We have to change how citizens react when things inevitably go wrong. So instead of fatalism, where the immediate reaction is, oh, what are we going to do? Accompanied by complaining, resignation, and this helpless wait-and-see attitude, the mindset must decisively shift to action. The questions need to become, okay, what is the problem? What is the solution? Who needs to act and with what resources? It's a 180-degree shift from passive victimhood and endless improvisation to proactive citizen engagement and really rigorous preparation. Now, what's really fascinating about this point is that the source document warns against a super common trap. You can have all the proactive citizens in the world, but if the game itself is fundamentally rigged, nothing changes. The text argues that changing people without changing the rules might simply reproduce the exact same problems. And this makes a huge case for why systemic constitutional reform is so much more critical than just swapping out political leaders every few years. Think of it like the tournament again. If the rules of the game are broken and totally unfair, it literally doesn't matter who's wearing the captain's armband. The results are going to be exactly the same.
Section 6. Comment construire un nouveau Cameroun. Building a new Cameroon.
This brings us to the ultimate conclusion of the source material's whole metaphor. Building a new nation requires treating the national constitution exactly like the strict, non-negotiable rules of a major football tournament. And to pull this off, it requires a simultaneous two-pronged approach. Institutional transformation and cultural transformation absolutely have to happen side by side. Why? Well, because bad practices will easily survive good institutions if the citizens themselves accept them. You absolutely need fair rules, an independent judiciary, and enforceable laws, for sure. But you equally must have citizens actively demanding competence, integrity, and accountability. One side of the equation literally cannot succeed without the other. So how do we actually implement this culture of performance in real life? The document suggests analyzing public administration and the economy exactly like a rigorous post-match breakdown. Step 1, what was the objective? Step 2, what resources were actually committed to it? Step 3, what result was finally achieved? And step 4, who is responsible? This isn't about creating a culture of persecution or pointing fingers. It's about establishing a culture of pure accountability. If the ball didn't go in the net, the team needs to know exactly why, and they need to know exactly how to fix it for the very next match. Let's see how this all builds up to the anchor phrase of the entire Source campaign, once and for all. A new constitution shouldn't be made for one specific person or just to benefit one particular era. It must be the collective social contract of the people, clearly defining powers, setting firm limits, and guaranteeing the protection of future generations. It's all about creating a system built so sturdily and so fairly that the nation's immense talent can rely on it once and for all.
You know, the Indomitable Lionesses didn't change their nationality to win. They didn't somehow change their inherent potential. They simply showed us what happens when raw talent meets relentless preparation and when discipline meets unbreakable rules. They won the cup. So I'll leave you with this final, really powerful question posed by the source material. Are we ready to organize our country so that the talent of its people can finally unleash its full power? The blueprint for how to transform Cameroon now is right there in front of us. The match of national transformation is just waiting to be played.
Hi. Any comments with reference to this video? I think it's incredibly powerful how it went from talking about the team, its discipline, adversity, and all of that, and really drawing our attention to how each one of us can be one of those indomitable lionesses, and how we can sit in a moment of great difficulty and challenges and wait for something to happen, or each one of us can step up and fight and be that goalkeeper, Mikhaili Behina, that decides that for love of country, I will be the one that stops these 4 penalties. And it's upon each one of us to be able to play that role, and then concludes with the constitutional process that we are in, where, you know, once and for all really means once and for all. I will hate, maybe when I'm gone 50 years from now, for our countries to be still struggling with the questions that we know are obvious today, when we have the possibility and ability to be able to answer those questions once and for all, so that we can move on to other things like prosperity for all, justice and equity and equality for everyone, rather than leaving the questions on the table and waiting for somebody else to address them down the road.
Et aussi, on dit changer les personnes sans changer les règles, ça nous mène vers les mêmes problèmes.
Absolutely, yeah. You cannot just put new wine in old wineskin and expect it to taste good. You have.
I think it's important to to thank Leopold, who led our discussions on this, that produced this.
Yeah.
Merci infiniment, Leopold. Well, I know, merci, Chris, or other leader.
Yeah, Chris, we'll pass this on to Chris, and after Chris, it will be Lizette. Chris, please.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Leopold. Thank you, Brother Eric. And I also want to thank Vivian for an eloquent explanation and expression. It makes a lot of sense. As Brother Eric indicated, this was on a very specific item, but still what Vivian said about leadership cannot be understated. I think that expresses the minds of most Cameroonians at this stage. I think, again, Ray and Leopold putting this together really demonstrates what Project C is all about. It really, if anyone is looking for reason to be a part of this, as opposed to being a spectator to our own destiny, I think this analogy is inviting everyone, every Cameroonian of good faith, to join Project C. Please do not stand by and to be a spectator towards our destiny. The days are over. This is 2026. We are calling upon all Cameroonians of good faith who love Cameroon to join hands with Project C We are an objective group, very fair-minded, apolitical. We are about doing what is right for Cameroon. And I think this analogy should give you clear evidence of that. The final point I want to bring is that we've not yet mentioned. You see, President Biya and his entourage have done their work, whether we like it or not. It's been done. And it's time for change. One of the things that took place, as I understand it, again, I haven't really read the full details, but as I understood that, the leadership of the Lioness was changed at some point prior to this competition, right? To bring in the lady coach and then a Frenchman, a team of two to lead the Indomitable Lions. After they almost did not qualify, right? A change was made. And that change for a team that had performed and almost did not qualify to now a team that won the championship. I don't know if I'm making sense about what I'm trying to build here. Is that, you know, the coaches that were there before the new coach, I forgot her name, the lady, and the Frenchman, who's the technician, and the new, yes, okay. She, in an interview, said that her focus is bringing an understanding of the culture of Cameroon into the coaching room. The Frenchman brings the technical aspect, and together they work like a team to leading the Lions to victory. Two things here. A change in leadership took place. It doesn't mean that the other coaches are evil people. They've done their fair share, and there's credit to them. But their abilities to lead the team went only so far. These new coaches came, and they made changes in the team. They let some old hands go and bring in new hands. So if you look at our country, at some point, this government probably did very well. But at the moment, the results that are being produced are not acceptable to Cameroonians. It's not acceptable to the world. And it's time for change. It doesn't mean that they are evil people. But if you stay there, you're just committing more evil for your own self. And then the country suffers. So if we're drawing any lessons from the Indomitable Lions, I don't know whether it's Eto who made the change or whoever, but the Federation did make a decision to make a change. And that change produced results. Cameroonians need a change. It doesn't mean that the change may produce better results immediately, but we do need a change. The last thing I would say is, I will always say this: the diversity of Cameroon is the biggest asset that we have.
Exact.
The diversity of Cameroon is the biggest asset Cameroonians have, and we are abusing it. I will give one example. In corporate America today, it is well believed, and I've said this before, these are studies, a team that is diversified in race, in culture, in talent, and whatever, will always outperform a non-diversified team. That's a fact. And Cameroon already has that diversified team. And we're not using it. How did this help? I'm not going to name any corporate names here, but I'll give you one example. If you go to Costco or Sam's in America, you buy a box of detergent, huge box of detergent, that most Americans buy because they don't want to keep going to the store. But before corporations could accept diversity of internationals, of Africans, of South Americans, of blacks, of Asians into their corporations, most of these corporations, these consumer product companies, took the same big boxes to Africa and Asia, and they did not sell. What they did not understand is that in Africa, you can take those big boxes, but you have to create sachets, little packets, because most of them are sold in little stores, and the consumers can buy 1 or 2 sachets for their laundry. They can't afford a big box. And that made a major change and opened up the market for detergent in Africa. And how did that happen? Because these corporations brought African professionals and Asians into their corporations who told them what to do. So I hope that example demonstrates the power of diversity. We Cameroonians have to cherish and not let anybody make us not proud of our diversity. I'm proud when I'm standing with my French brother and sister. I'm proud when I'm standing with my Muslim brother and sister. I'm proud when I'm standing with my Northwest and Southwest brother and sister. That's who we are. And that's what makes us different. There's no other place like Cameroon. Thank you.
And that was the Reverend.
Absolument. Absolument.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that, for those comments that continue to awaken the consciousness of our people. And you have essentially said what the Project Cameroon is. The Project Cameroon is that Cameroon that no other, that jokingly has been said or called Le Continent. But if you really think about it, and I've been blessed to travel across the African continent. I think I've done maybe 43 of the 54 countries in Africa. If you think about it, there's no place like Cameroon where you go from the desert.
Yeah. Tu dépasses de beaucoup. Je n'ai été que dans 21 pays africains.
You go from the desert in the north to the savannas, and then into the tropical jungle, the mountains, then the coast in one country. It's unbelievable how blessed we are. Even, and that's above soil. You can think below soil and what comes out of it. Everything grows in Cameroon. Diversity in crop, from banana to plant to timber to cocoa and coffee. You could name it, and tomatoes and onions and all of this, and rice. Everything grows in Cameroon. And then you can think about gold, diamond, and bauxite and aluminium, all of this from the soil of Cameroon. And then talk about people. There's Eric, there's Leopold, there's me, there's us. All of this is on parle français de temps en temps, on parle anglais. We even right across the pond from Fernando Po. So there are people in Cameroon that speak English and German and Portuguese, all of that mixed up in what we call the Pidgin English. And then there is 200 other dialects. What a beauty. That is Project Cameroon, guys. That's the project that we are working on.
Mais il faut quand même dire quelque chose. Ça devient de plus en plus évident. Il faudrait vraiment qu'on se le dise. Cette diversité qui est notre richesse, on la voit beaucoup plus à l'extérieur. Et en plus, regarde c'est-à-dire que dans tous les pays du monde où tu rencontres des Camerounais, ils sont toujours dans le top, 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 top. Mais comment expliquer que ces talents ne puissent pas être vraiment fédérés dans un système performant dans leur propre pays? Disons-le clairement, c'est une question de règles. Parce que ce que les Lions ont réussi, puisque ce sont elles qui sont à l'honneur, ce qu'elles ont réussi à l'extérieur, nous voulons le faire chez nous. Elles ont réussi à l'extérieur dans un environnement où les règles sont claires, précises, établies, respectées autant que possible. Nous voulons avoir ce système au Cameroun, donc avoir des règles once and for all, une bonne fois pour toutes, qui vont être respectées, applicables à tout le monde pour que cette diversité puisse s'exprimer et faire de ce pays ce système unique, ce pays unique en son genre. Ça n'est pas cette diversité que Chris a justement rappelé. Vraiment, il y a pour que les Camerounais se mettent ensemble, et c'est effectivement ce que Project C est en train de faire, modestement, mais de façon déterminée, et vraiment nous y croyons, en fait, c'est clair. Donc c'est ça, ces règles-là. Ce qui est à l'extérieur, qui fait notre force, nous voulons avoir ces forces en interne aussi, et de façon durable. Voilà.
I know Lisbeth is waiting, but I thought I should say this. Leopold just wrote the manual for teaching Chinese in Cameroon. It was published, it was agreed to by the authorities. The Chinese approved it. Leopold, this is our Leopold. The Chinese approved it, the Chinese embassy was happy with it. But he has the wrong name, the wrong tribe, the wrong this, the wrong that. And that book is still sitting there, waiting to be used. That tells you why rules are important, but I know Lisette is waiting.
Yes, we'll turn this over to Lisette. Lisette, sorry we kept you waiting, but thank you for being patient with us. We're all overflowing with emotions.
It's an amazing discussion. Keep me waiting all you want. Sounds like I need to get with Leopold. I'm teaching myself Mandarin.
Oh, great.
But and all of the other languages that I'm teaching myself. But I just wanted to echo the sentiments of everyone, and the evaluation that AI put out. That is something that we all need to really, really take seriously, because we can look out and say, we want this to happen, we want that to happen. But in order for us to have the Cameroon that we all really want, we have to effect the change in us. So each drop of water in the ocean is an accomplished drop. So if we become who we expect Cameroon to be, we are creating little mini Cameroons to make the Cameroon that we want. So we can't just say, oh, this is supposed to happen and this is supposed to happen, and then we keep doing the things that, well, we propagate the corruption, we do this and we do that. I struggle with starting businesses in Cameroon because I send money, I do this, and people take it because they think the money is coming from America. There's plenty of it. No, there's not. So if we become the person that we want to see Cameroon become, we are creating a giant. We are awakening a giant that cannot be stopped. So the change needs to begin in us. If we want peace, if we want leadership, we need to be the leader that we're looking for. We need to be the Cameroon, the mini Cameroon that we want Cameroon to be. And that's a no-brainer. And then we are creating a Cameroon that cannot be stopped.
Thank you very much, Lisette, for that that perspective, because it's incredibly important for us to be, as Gandhi had said, the change that we seek. Incredibly important that we say this to ourselves and to every Cameroonian, because the Cameroon that we seek to build is one that we have to build on being able to tolerate others. I think that that's a what you have raised is a very, very powerful point, that we do not have to agree to have a shared vision. We may differ in our perspectives, and yes, we do. We may not come from the same political background. That's why that's why there is diversity. But we have a common purpose. I think everybody wants to see Cameroon succeed. Even those who are taking action to bring it down, they deep down them, they know that we deserve better. So beginning with us, we need to want to embrace each other. We need to want to be the example, so leading others, standing up, ensuring that we're not waiting for things to happen. And Leopold, maybe we should also share this analysis in French, and that would be the last thing we do for our French-speaking audience.
Tout à fait. Le président a commencé à parler là au palais aussi. Il est apparu là il y a 5 minutes, mais les images sont coupées là en ce moment. L'écran est éteint. Je suis sur CTV. Je suppose que c'est des problèmes techniques.
Oui, on suppose.
Ce sont des problèmes techniques, voilà. Non, allons-y, tout à fait, Harry, faisons l'analyse.
Okay, let's go in French here.
Bienvenue dans ce décryptage consacré au document du projet C, intitulé Nouveau Cameroun, le mindset. Aujourd'hui, nous allons voir ensemble comment ce texte utilise une victoire historique du football féminin pour esquisser une vaste campagne de réforme. C'est assez fascinant, vous allez voir. Un simple événement sportif devient ici le socle d'une réflexion politique profonde sur l'avenir du pays. Dès l'introduction, le document nous interpelle avec cette question rhétorique particulièrement puissante. Si les Camerounaises peuvent accomplir cela sur un terrain étranger, pourquoi le Cameroun ne pourrait-il pas réussir dans sa propre maison? Dans cette analyse, nous allons décoder très précisément comment les auteurs transposent un triomphe sportif exceptionnel en une véritable feuille de route sociopolitique. C'est la métaphore parfaite de comment 11 joueuses transforment une nation. Première étape de notre parcours, les leçons des Lyonnaises indomptables. Et pour bien comprendre, il faut se replonger dans l'adversité incroyable de ce moment. 3-0, un score final clair, net et sans appel contre le Maroc. Alors, plongeons dans le vif du sujet. Le document met en lumière l'ampleur vraiment titanesque de cet exploit. Parce que pour soulever ce trophée, ces joueuses n'ont pas fait les choses à moitié. Elles ont d'abord éliminé le Nigeria, le géant absolu en Afrique, avant de terrasser le pays organisateur devant son propre public. Et ce que les auteurs soulignent ici, c'est que cette victoire n'a absolument rien de magique. C'est le résultat direct d'un système. Elles n'ont pas simplement eu un coup de chance. Elles ont joué, elles ont résisté, elles ont cru en elles. Elles ont bossé ensemble. Et par-dessus tout, elles ont respecté les règles du jeu. C'est l'application pure et dure d'une méthode irréprochable. Ce qui nous amène à la deuxième partie. Le document transforme méticuleusement cette victoire sur le gazon en 7 piliers de performance nationale. Et là, observez ce parallèle, il est clinique. Le talent naturel, eh bien, il ne vaut rien sans un système performant pour l'exploiter. Les règles du tournoi, elles deviennent l'équivalent d'institutions stables et indépendantes. Surmonter l'épreuve du repêchage, ça exige, au niveau de l'État, de passer du fatalisme à l'action. Et sur le terrain, l'effacement des égos individuels explique fondamentalement pourquoi le mérite change tout. C'est la compétence qui doit absolument primer. Et ça continue de manière très structurée. La résilience, après des finales perdues, ça devient la nécessité vitale d'apprendre des échecs nationaux. La pression étouffante des tirs au but, c'est le devoir de chercher des solutions concrètes au lieu de se trouver des excuses. Enfin, les buts marqués sur le tableau d'affichage se traduisent par une culture du mérite mesurable et de reddition des comptes. Bref, une performance qui doit s'appliquer du stade jusqu'à l'administration publique. Troisième point, du sport à la nation. Concrètement, comment transformer le Cameroun maintenant en appliquant ces concepts à la société tout entière? Ici, la métaphore filée devient totalement explicite. Les auteurs de la campagne perçoivent la Constitution non pas comme un simple bout de papier, mais comme les règles strictes d'un grand tournoi. De la même manière, les lignes de l'équipe, la défense, le milieu, l'attaque, représentent les institutions indépendantes du pays. Chacune a un rôle vital et le tout forme un bloc solidaire. Quatrième étape, la réforme des institutions publiques. C'est précisément ici que le projet C détaille les 7 piliers de réforme nationale. Cette citation résume à elle seule toute la philosophie de la campagne. Nous ne devons pas seulement chercher de nouveaux dirigeants, nous devons construire de meilleures règles du jeu. Le message porté par le document est clair comme de l'eau de roche. Changer les têtes sans modifier les règles sous-jacentes, c'est simplement s'assurer de reproduire les mêmes problèmes systémiques à l'infini. Alors, comment construire un nouveau Cameroun? Le document détaille un plan d'action strict. Il s'agit de bâtir un système une bonne fois pour toutes et surtout pas du sur-mesure pour un seul individu. Ce nouveau contrat collectif exige des pouvoirs clairement définis, des mécanismes de transparence totale, une justice véritablement indépendante et la protection des générations futures. Mais attention, il y a une nuance absolument cruciale ici. Le texte prévient que ces leçons de gouvernance et transformation culturelle vont de pair. De nouvelles règles institutionnelles échoueront totalement sans l'éveil simultané de la population. L'État a ses responsabilités, bien sûr, mais le citoyen a aussi ses devoirs. En clair, des citoyens responsables bâtissent un pays en exigeant activement la probité, le mérite et la transparence au quotidien.
Ce qui nous amène logiquement à notre 5e et dernière grande partie, le mindset du citoyen camerounais qui doit s'élever au niveau de ces nouvelles institutions.
Alors, ce qui est vraiment intéressant avec cette approche, c'est la volonté d'en finir avec le fatalisme passif. Fini le fameux « et résigné, on va faire comment ?» La campagne veut le remplacer par une résolution dynamique. Quel est le problème? Quelle est la solution? Rejeter cette mentalité toxique, c'est vraiment le cœur du mindset du citoyen responsable. Et voici comment transformer fatalisme en action. Le texte dresse la liste de ces pivots comportementaux indispensables. Passer de l'improvisation à la préparation minutieuse, du favoritisme aveugle au mérite absolu, de l'impunité à la responsabilité. Ces basculements profonds sont présentés comme la condition non négociable pour ériger les 7 piliers du nouveau Cameroun. Les auteurs s'attaquent même à la notion de patriotisme. La véritable fierté nationale, selon eux, n'est plus une émotion passive ou un vague sentiment de supériorité. Elle est recadrée comme une responsabilité civique active. C'est l'acte de dire « je suis Camerounais et je veux contribuer, par mes actions, à rendre mon pays meilleur ».
Et ça nous ramène finalement à la thèse fondamentale qui sous-tend tout ce manifeste. Le problème du Cameroun n'est pas l'absence de talent, c'est notre incapacité à organiser durablement le talent autour d'un système performant. Le message est puissant, le potentiel brut de la nation est déjà là, il est immense. Il n'attend que le cadre systémique approprié pour exploser au grand jour. Et c'est ainsi que la métaphore sportive boucle la boucle. Les auteurs tirent de cette victoire un plaidoyer émotionnel très percutant, qu'ils formulent comme le message final des joueuses. Nous étions confrontés à des difficultés, nous avons joué, nous avons gagné, alors pourquoi pas vous? Une façon brillante de projeter le triomphe du terrain directement vers les défis de toute une société. Ce qui nous laisse sur cette question persistante pour conclure notre analyse. Un défi ultime lancé par la campagne. Sommes-nous prêts à organiser notre pays pour que le talent puisse enfin produire toute sa puissance? Je vous laisse réfléchir à cette question et aux implications fascinantes de cette vision pour l'avenir.
That was a powerful question to conclude. Are we ready to organize our country? That is a very powerful question that we have to take home with us as we.
At Project C, we are ready. Nous sommes prêts à Project C.
At Project C, we are ready, and we've said this. We are audacious enough to say that we have the answers to the future of our country. We're willing, we're offering our fellow Cameroonians, we're offering Cameroon, and we're ready and willing and have the capacity to lead this country to a new beginning. It just takes all of us working together to make this happen. So let's rise up to the occasion. Let's rise up to the moment. Let's take the lessons learned from the lions that, wear a smile in the face of adversity. Do not be weakened by it. The only way that you overcome challenges is believing that you are able to overcome them. If not, the mountain will look too high for you to climb, the valley too wide for you to cross. And I submit that we have the capacity to overcome those obstacles, but it would take each one of us working together to make it happen. Yeah. With that, I would say we have come to the conclusion of our show today. It would only be natural that we end with our music video here that really tells a story of what we're trying to accomplish for our beloved Cameroon. So let me share this and ask for you to dance to the music wherever you are. Share it with others.
For decades, Cameroonians have watched us hope slip through our fingers. Decisions about our future made behind closed doors. Our voices drowned out by power in politics again and again. We have been told who we are and what we must accept. Cameroon's destiny has been shaped by others. Cameroonians are waking up and demanding change. What kind of country do we want? What makes us Cameroonian? The soul of Cameroon is shaped not by what divides us, but by what unites us. Oh, what kind of country do we want? What makes us Cameroonian? Imagine a movement not of politicians, but of people. Imagine every corner of this country, every hamlet, village, town, city, every region, rising together with one purpose, not for an election, not for power, but for one nation, once and for all. Imagine putting country over self-love, over hate. Cameroon, not tribe, language, that region, the soul of Cameroon is shaped not by what divides us, but by what unites us. Imagine a movement not of politicians, but of people. This is not a dream, this is Project C. Imagine the street vendors, the motorcycle taxi drivers, the trade unions, traditional rulers, professionals, and the diaspora, working together everywhere for something bigger than any one of us. Oh, for the first time we, the people, will come together to answer the hardest, most important questions. How do we finally lay to rest the ghost of the past and create a future where every citizen belongs? Over the next 4 months, we will listen, we will debate, we will draft a new constitution. Oh, one that reflects our diversity, our dreams, our determination to build a Cameroon of dignity, peace, and prosperity. This is a movement born of the people, for the people. No more decisions made for us, without us. No more waiting for permission to hope. A new Cameroon is possible. Hey, not determined by our colonial past, but by our common future. Join the movement for a new Cameroon. This is Project C. This is a movement born of the people, for the people. A new Cameroon is possible. Join the movement for a new Cameroon. Join the movement for a new Cameroon.
Well, we hope that you join the movement and you contribute to where we go from here. I encourage every one of you, make a donation, support the movement, participate actively, and we will join you, or we'll see you again next Saturday as we continue to walk towards the dialogue that we know is needed for our country to succeed.
Thank you. Goodbye.